Assalamu alaikum. Salam to my guest and audience. You are live with Rahana, and we like to welcome Dr. Irfan Ashraf today. He is a well-known personality from Azad, Jammu and Kashmir. He is the Director General of Kashmir Culture Academy, and he's also a well-known anchor for Capital TV, and he's a columnist for Daily Sasaba. So I would like to welcome you to my show. And the topic we are actually going to be doing today is India violating its own constitution, Indian Constitution 1950. So how are you today?
Thank you very much. I'm grateful you give me opportunity to talk in your show, and definitely it's a very important topic you choose. Actually, today was very hectic for me as Friday and Saturday, 2 days are for my show's 2 day slot. And today, in national politics, there are a lot of things happening. Pakistan People's Party march just reached near Patoki. They are in Punjab now, and as we are sitting in federal capital of state, so a lot of you can say journalistic responsibilities on us to update on our viewers national TV. So that's why I'm sorry for starting it late, but I'm really grateful that you are going to do a show on a very important topic, which really everyone want to know about what's happening in India and how they are violating their own constitutions. I think it's a very important topic, and I will try to give my input whatever I can.
Many thanks. We do understand that you actually had a very busy day today, and we see that some audience have been waiting. But it's nice to actually have you on our show today, and we can hear from you what your ideas are actually about India. So the first question is going to be: does India have a right to celebrate 26th January, India's Republic Day, when its constitution was adopted? So, what would you like to say about that?
Actually, Indians on every year on 26th of Jan, they celebrate it as their Democratic Day, Constitution Day. First of all, my question to all Indians and to the international world, why a country need to repeat again and again that they are democratic? The very simple answer of this question is that they are never practiced their own constitution. They are throwing dust in the eyes of international community, in the eyes of human rights organizations, in the eyes of United Nations, because many articles in Indian constitutions contradict with their actions. There is whenever if we are talking about specifically on Kashmir, there are different scenario. But if we take it on Indians, they are even not apply what they are written in their constitutions are almost 100 amendments in Indian constitution. But after every amendment, you will see that there are a lot of contradictions in their articles. Like if few articles I would like to mention, Article 19 of Indian Constitution, which is about freedom of speech. I will go in a short background. In 2001, BBC made a documentary in India. The documentary was about the rape cases in India. But unfortunately, till date, Indians didn't allow them to on air that documentary. Then, after a long time, after 19 years, I think, or 20 years, they aired that documentary from another country. Similarly, recently, Indian Army invaded Srinagar Press Club, and they practically took control of the press club. Similarly, you know how freedom of expression is muted in occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and similarly in other states of India. I think India is never ever a democratic country. They are just portraying it. They are trying to you can say they are throwing dust in the eyes of international community by there are a lot of I think need to talk on it, and it's a
Doctor, are you still there, Dr. Irfan? Because I can see that, like it seems like your side has been hanged. Okay, so while we actually waiting for like Dr. Advan Ashraf to actually return, I will actually continue with it. I would like to add on that to become a democracy, India was asked by United Nations that India has to actually repel AFSPA law, which is Armed Forces Special Powers Act, because it's below the international standard of having like laws like anti-terrorism laws. So United Nations actually said to them a few times that you need to repel this law, and then you can call yourself a democracy. So calling yourself a largest democracy is not right, because if you are actually going against the United Nations resolution, especially when it comes to Kashmir, and you are having laws there which are no way under any Kashmiris are no way under any obligations to actually abide by the law by the Indian laws, because as we all know that Kashmir is a disputed state, so they have their own assembly and they can have their own laws. So what India did is in on the 5th of August 2019, India took over Kashmir, and the assembly was actually dissolved without the like consent of the Kashmiris. Doctor, welcome back. So, would you like to continue?
Yes, I was trying to add something more, but unfortunately, some issue in my internet connection. Secondly, I would like to add, when we are talking about democracy, or when we are talking about constitutional rights of citizens, if as you were talking about 5th August, when India revoked Article 370, Article 35A, and they try to merge or integrate Kashmir into Indian Union. In occupied Kashmir, the way Indians are treating Kashmiris, the way they are going for extrajudicial murders, fake encounters from last 5 6 months, they are using fake encounters as a weapon to depress the voice of Kashmiris, and the way they are depressing the voice of journalists. Many journalists are detained, are under arrest in these nowadays as well, and many of them are enforced disappeared. No one knows where they are. The Indians are denied their then to even they can't hire, they can't go in courts with their lawyers. So many issues in India, and especially in occupied Jammu and Kashmir, where Indians are openly violating human rights. They are openly violating even their own constitution. So this is a very good initiative from your side that you are going to expose them, and I think this initiative, you must take it. You must go on it, and this is very important for us, being a Kashmiri, being a son of soil. That by using this medium, we need to talk about. We need to reach out the world, and we need to tell them the story how Indians are doing this on the name of democracy. I think if we will specifically talk about other states of Indians of
Yes.
India, and especially last year, you see how they treat with their farmers, and how they are treating with Sikhs as well. In all over the world, Sikhism has identity. In Pakistan, even Pakistan gave them many rights, and we are protecting them here. But
I
unfortunately,
would
in
like
India,
to,
they are
doc,
forcing them to live like Hindus. Their marriage act and their many other things are they are forcibly pushing them to act and live like Hindus. So there are a lot
yes,
of concerns in world when we are talking about Indian Constitution.
yeah, doctor, very good of you to go into like the details. So I would like to say that the reason we are doing this show today is so it's not actually passing awareness to the whole world, especially the Indians, because many Indians don't even know like what is happening in India with their own like constitution. They are celebrating Republic Day without knowing that India has no right to celebrate like Republic Day, because it has been violating its own constitution and the laws which have been imposed in like Kashmir and another like disturbed states like sorry, like Manipur and Nagaland and Assam, like they're actually suffering in the hands of these laws which are being imposed there, like Afsafa, and they have been violated under their own like constitution. So one law is actually saying that they can actually arrest, detain, they can kill, murder, rape, and then their own constitution is actually saying that they have to go along with equal rights like equality. So like their own article 14, which is equality, and then article 19, which is freedom of like expression. Then we have like article 21, which is liberty to freedom and is guaranteed to life. Now when Indian army like in Kashmir and in other parts of India is actually using humans as human field like human shields, they are violating article 21 clearly. And then as you were saying earlier that they are not allowing their prisoners to actually be represented in the court with their own choice of like advocate. So that comes all under article 22. So under article 22, like if you detain somebody, if you arrest somebody, they have to be informed, and they have the right to actually have their own like selected lawyers to represent them. So what is happening that under these laws like Afsafa law and the like other laws like detention laws, which are Public Safety Act and Unlawful Activities Supervision Act, it says clearly there that when they are going to be arrested or detained, they are not going to be given reasons, and they are not allowed to be actually represented in court. Yes, their family members can actually do that if they are allowed, because not all of them are allowed, and they can keep them detained for like between 1 to 2 years. So what you were
One
saying
thing,
earlier,
Rehana, I would like to
enough?
add, if you allow.
Yes,
Uh,
please.
Pakistani students, it's about the Indian laws. They are applied in occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Few Pakistani students who are here for studies, unfortunately, this year we reported many cases that they called these students in police stations, nearby police stations, and arrested them. Few of them are not returned this year. And all are in jails, or in police stations, or on unarmed places, or enforced disappeared under these laws, which you are talking about, PSA and TADA, POTA, and all other. So this is the time for world to intervene and stop and they should force India, and they have to, I think, intervene properly to save Kashmiri, because there are second thing which I would like to add, that the way they hoist Taranga or flag, Indian flag, on 26th January to show that Kashmiris are celebrating their democracy day,
Republic
that
Day.
was very unfortunate. Totally, Srinagar area was probably cordoned off, and no one was allowed to come out, and forces were on the roads, and then they were hosting the flags, and all people who were participant of that ceremony, they all were they brought them from Delhi and other places. So the two things are very important. Number one, Kashmiris never ever will celebrate the Indian democracy until and unless India will not prove it practically. They made commitment to the Kashmiris. Their first prime minister made a commitment with Kashmiris that they will give them right to self determination, and a fair and free plebiscite will be conducted in Jammu and Kashmir to decide the future of state Jammu and Kashmir. But instead of doing that, India is using black laws, draconian laws, to depress the voice of Kashmiris. And secondly, this is very important issue which I'm highlighting in your show. Please talk about this issue at international forums. That all those students who are in Pakistan for study purpose, they belong to IIOJK. This year, when they return to their houses, all of them, in some houses, Indian Army, at the house of some students, they properly raid it and arrest them. And some are still missing. Their parents don't know where they are, and they are missing under the draconian laws. So my request to highlight this issue as well, and
Yes,
talk about this issue at
inshallah.
all forums where you are attending the seminars and conferences, or in your live transmission, please.
um, I actually have been highlighting this, and now we do a program on that because we actually know that one of the student, his name is Shabir Naik. He's actually one of the students that who was detained last year in October. Until today, we actually don't know like where the students are gone. Um, the
Yesterday,
draconian laws.
one student from IIUJK told me he's in Srinagar these days. He told me that his father is in jail, and they are in a nearby police station. First, for 3 days, they booked him, and then later on, I think they sent him jail or some unknown place. They are interrogating him, and they are torturing him and asking him to share that why his son or daughter is in Pakistan and why they are they choose Pakistan for studies. This is very unfortunate, and this is the time for world to come out, and they have to stop India
Yes,
for this
absolutely.
worst human right violation, and they must have to accountable them for applying such a draconian laws on Kashmiris.
Yes, I totally agree with you, and I would like to remind the audience that there are three laws which have been imposed in Kashmir at the moment. One is AFSPA, which is called Armed Forces Special Powers Act, and then we have PSA, which is called Public Safety Act, and then the third one is UPA, which is Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Now, the third law is actually at the moment very much in action. So we hear human rights activists, and we hear like students, journalists, Kashmiri leaders, so anybody who raises the voice for Kashmir is actually being detained under the UPA Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. So this law was a Indian law which has been imposed in Kashmir as well. And not only that, they are actually detaining like Muslim people. Anybody who raises his voice for Kashmir, any journalist from any faith is being actually detained. We will be doing some more programs where I'm going to be talking about like students and then like human rights activists. But today, like we are going to continue with the article. So my next question, which you actually answered a bit earlier anyway, was what is Article 25 and what is Article 25B? So this is going to be related to the Sikh, like to the people, to the Sikh from India. So would you like to continue, please?
This is very important, Rihanna. Very important question, and uh, I think few days back, I don't think you watched that video or not, but I saw a video. I will send you in person when we will end this show. One Dalit was not allowed to. Uh, that was his wedding day, and he was not allowed to ride on horse. And there was he was police officer, and I think more than hundreds policemen were provided him for security during his wedding. And contradiction is this, that Indian Article 25 indicates and says clearly that there is freedom of religion, and no one will stop anyone to practice his religious exercises. But unfortunately, in India, even if they are not allowed to do marriages as per their tradition, that was a Dalit who was stopped to practice his tradition, because at that stage they don't want Dalit to come equal to the other Hindu castes. So this is very unfortunate that on one hand Indians are projecting and portraying that they are in India. There is no one is bound, and they are open for exercising their religious prayers and everything. But on the second, 25B article in Indian Constitution, which is clearly denying Sikhism, and they are forcing Sikhs to act like Hindus and live like Hindus. So I think this is very important question. But as far as I have information and I read about it, Article 25 and Article 25 is just for projection, but they are practicing Article 25B, and they are not allowing anyone other than Hindu to practice their religious duties. As far as it is concerned for Muslims, in Kashmir and on many other states, Muslims are even not allowed to go for their namaz-e-Jummah. And similarly, if you will talk about Sikhs, they are not allowed to perform their religious duties. Similarly, if you will go for other minorities in India, no one is allowed to perform. This is just, I
Yes, I
think,
totally.
for projecting. This is just for fake claims. This is just for showing the world that we are secular, but on practically ground realities has no match with their practical actions.
Yes, I totally agree with you because it's very strange. The Article 25 says religious freedom, and then on the next part, B, it says that the Sikhism was rejected when this first constitution on 26 January 1950 was actually adopted. So Sikhs were actually said that they have to get married, they have to marry, they have to do right of property, adoption, and some other like things as well in accordance to Hindus. So basically, they are clearly calling them Hindus, and the whole world knows that Sikhism is a religion and has been accepted. And in Pakistan, like I would like to let the audience know, in Pakistan in 27 2007 there was a bill passed that which recognized that that Sikhs have their own law of getting married like in their own way, and then recently the law has been accepted. At that time the bill was passed. Now there's a law in Pakistan. Pakistan is the first country in the world which actually recognizes like Sikh Marriage Act, and even India doesn't do that, or any other country. So basically, what we are trying to say that India is trying to keep on saying that Pakistan is violating like people from other minorities, but this is the evidence that Pakistan is not violating. It's India itself. Pakistan has accepted the act of marriage of Sikhs in the own way, and not only that. I would like to add on that Pakistan has no draconian law, which is actually going against the constitution of Pakistan Constitution in 1973, or we have any impunity. Now India's law, which is AFSPA law, it under section 7, it gives impunity that anybody, like any officer, can rape, kill, murder, they can burn the property, and they are not going to be questioned by the government, by the army officers, or by the families who have lost their family members or they have lost their property. So this is a violation of humanity and the declarations being signed by India, like the international laws, a declaration of human rights, Geneva Conventions, and India's own articles. So then the next question I'm going to be asking you is going to be related that is India actually a secular state and a democracy?
I think before responding to this question, my heart and mind says that this is a joke if we will talk about Indian democracy, because what's happening in India, you know very well, and world know as well. The person who was banned for travel in UK and for some other countries, he is the Prime Minister of the India at this time. The person who is responsible for Gujarat killings, the person who is famous for his anti-Muslim and anti-minority stance in India, is leading that country. And BJP is, in all over the India, they are gripping and they are capturing the space with brutalities and atrocities. They are not political even, they are not democratic even, and they are not social even. Their actions prove that India is a fascist regime at this stage, and inside India, people are not happy with this. And many political parties of India, which are not even Muslims, they are now openly saying that India is going to Modi is going to break India into many pieces, because the way they are treating with their minorities, the way they are treating with the Sikhs. You may have knowledge about it that Khalistan movement is now getting momentum, because the way Indians are doing injustice with Sikhs. Recently, you see a wave of farmers movement in India, and and many other movements are Naxals and all others, Nagaland, and few others are on it. So I think India is very near of division, and the Modi is the one who actually exposed the ugly face of India, and he come out with the real face, and now I think this is the time for world that they They should not be get betrayed by India, and they must come up with a proper stance. They must have to accountable India. What's happening in India with minorities? It's not only about Muslims. It's not only about occupied Jammu and Kashmir. It's about humanity, and India is violating human rights in all states of Indian Union. So I think this is now an open secret that India is not a secular, not a democratic country. Their brutalities and the way BJP is ruling in India, I think they are going for a genocide. Recently Genocide Watch published a report in which they give eighth number to India, that India is most dangerous country, and Indians are involved in genocide, and they are involved in genocides of Sikhs. Operation Blue Star. You can go and search about it. What the brutalities Indian done with Sikhs. Similarly, what they are doing in occupied Kashmir, what they are doing with Naxals, what they are doing in Nagaland, and what they are doing in many other states, what they are doing with the Dalits, and many other things. I think Indians are not on right track. They are even not near to democracy. So I never can say that India is a democratic country until and unless they prove it with their actions.
Yes, thank you. I totally agree with you. I'll just add on a few things to it. India's draconian laws only prove one thing, that India is treating every citizen, even the citizens of Kashmir who are actually not legally citizens of India, as a terrorist. A state which is treating every citizen as a terrorist cannot be a democracy. And the other thing is that because India is ruled by a culture which believes on caste and class system, that's one more evidence that India can never be a democracy. Now coming to secular, what does secular mean? Secular means that it doesn't matter to the state. It's not any business of the state if somebody believes in God or not. They don't have the concept clear because they keep on telling each and every person, this is Muslim, this is Hindu, this is Sikh, this is Christian. So when the concept is not clear and they are actually violating their own constitution, they are not even a secular. And then the third thing and the last thing, to become a state, you need to have a constitution. If you are violating your own constitution, because constitution means your law and order, that makes your country not even a state. So it's just like a jungle where there are animals which are actually mob lynching each other. So I'm sorry if some people are hurt by the definition, but that's the reality. Now I'm going to move on before we finish the program. BJP and Congress, what's the difference between them? Not much. BJP is instant poison and Congress is slow poison. Now all these draconian laws have been imposed by Congress. And what BJP is doing is imposing it, is practically going and doing the unfinished business by Congress. Now, going to seven sister states, Manipur and Nagaland. These are states full of Christians. And Assam is a state where we see a lot of Muslims were attacked in the last few months. And Kashmir is a state full of Muslims as well. So what we see at the moment is the Muslims and Christians who are under the same law, AFSPA law, Armed Forces Special Powers Act, are suffering in the same way. They are killed, they are raped, they are murdered, and their properties are burned. So this law must be repelled. As the United Nations said, for India to become a democracy, the AFSPA law has to be repelled. So, and until it's not repelled, India can't call itself a democracy. So this law has made people suffer, Kashmiris and Indians as well. And this law was a part of Punjab as well. So Sikhs have suffered because of this law from 1983 to 1997 for 14 years, where we hear that the Operation Blue Star took place as well, and they were murdered, killed, raped under the same situation happened. So India needs to make sure that it repels these laws to respect its own constitution, or India has no right to call itself a democracy, a state, a secular India, or India can celebrate its own Republic Day. So I would like to end it there, but before I go, I would like to ask my guest, Dr. Irfan Ashraf, if you can pass on some comments as a conclusion.
Yes, last but very important comment. Please add, this is very important that India, under the BJP regime, they are actually using state-sponsored terrorism as a tool against other countries. Unfortunately, what happened in Peshawar yesterday, and many other things which are happening in the world, Daesh is basically the product of India, and we have a lot of evidences. So I will conclude it that India is a state which is doing nothing for humanity, but they are doing to destroy humanity. They are sponsoring terrorism in neighbor countries. Kulbhushan Yadav is with us. That is a very clear evidence of Indian involvement in Pakistan. And similarly, when we will talk about Afghanistan, I think India is destroying Afghanistan as well. They are supporting Daesh, TTP, and many other terrorist organizations. They are sponsoring terrorism in Balochistan. BLA and many other organizations are working under the umbrella of RA. And at international forums, you people must know, and I think this thing must be discussed at every forum, that Haribyar Mari, Bramdak Bukti, and many other, even Shaukat Ali Kashmiri from our side of Azad Jammu and Kashmir, they are sitting there with the support of India. And India is using them. On the one side, India is using and applying draconian laws in their state and in Kashmir. And on the other hand, they have some peoples who they are using for projecting their narrative at international forums. You must know European Union Disinfo Lab a few years back, last year, they published a report about it, and this was written very clearly that Srivastav Group, based New Delhi-based Srivastav Group, is sponsoring Shaukat Ali Kashmiri, Haribyar Mari, Bramdak Bukti, Mehran Mari, Javed Baloch, and all other who are sitting abroad and who are playing in the hands of Indians. So India is, I think, a threat for not the regional peace, but for the global peace. So their nuclear is not safe. Then there are a lot of things which we can discuss. So I would request you to continue this session in future as well. And this,
Inshallah.
I think, show should not be disconnect. And this is why this will be very helpful for us to show the real face of India to the world. I am really grateful for your time and for your efforts. Unfortunately, today, due to some circumstances, this was very hectic for me. But inshallah, in future, I will try my best to give the opinion as it is required. Thank you very much.
You're actually welcome. You actually added on some very valid points, and I will add on that the party which is called UKPNP, this is a party which is actually being funded by India, and a lot of our Kashmiris, as the names you have taken earlier, they're actually part of it, and they are working on the Indian agenda. Through this party, and the only reason is like because India is afraid that when the plebiscite takes place, there is going to be more majority of Kashmiris are actually going to be voting for Pakistan, and there's going to be less people voting for India. So India is trying to create a situation where the people want to have freedom from both sides. So if India can't have Kashmir, so Pakistan can't have it either. Now, before I go, I will add on that India's condition, like India is such a state that is not only violating its constitution, it's violating other constitutions as well. And the example is that at the moment, India is in Maldives, as we know. It's actually been there. India has been in the other states like Bhutan since 1961. And at the same time, India has been in Kalapani, which is a Nepali state. And the Nepali people are keep on demanding that they would like to have the state back. And apart from that, Kashmir from 1947, and even Punjab, Punjabi people like from Indian side of Punjab were actually promised that they will be given a special status. So Punjab has been occupied as well. So India has been occupying states next to it from a very long time since India was actually created. So it's violating Indian constitution and it's violating the constitution of the neighbors next to it. And even like we heard earlier, that the Kashmiri people, that the Indian people have been a part of the Indian government has been part of the terrorist like attacks in Pakistan and in other states like Sri Lanka from from the past. So with this, I would like to thank my guest, Dr. Irfan Ashraf, for his time and for his delegation to actually join my show today. And I would like to thank my own audience for being a part of the show and showing their interest towards my shows. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.